Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? It's time to rock and roll for another day, and today is getting ugly. Waking up this morning and looking at all the red across the board, it looks like almost everything is red. It's one of those days that you open up your phone, you look at it, and you probably should put it right back down and walk away. But we got some opportunities that we actually have right now overnight. We're going to show you how I react to a downward market and what I decide to do in these types of markets. But how is everybody doing today? What's going on? It's a day, new week, new month, new slate is always what I like to say. And yesterday, great work in the Mavericks team. We were able to start the week with a nice bag. It was just about 10% on ABXXF. It's closed up by 30. But nice breakout play that we were able to find over the weekend here, and good profit here to start the brand new week. Last week we did the same thing with starting with close to $1,000 in profit with NWBO, which gapped up from here to here. So finding the gap ups is always what I personally love doing and what I specialize in. And today, unfortunately, we're getting gap downs across the board. So starting with the QQQ and SPY, if you open them up, you'll see we're actually gapping down 10 points in the QQQ, well, 9 points, but a good amount. They say points, dollars, it's all the same. But a big amount. We have two straight gap ups that we've recently just encountered with the overall markets. And I always like to say gap ups do need to get filled. So maybe we're on the downward trend to finally fill some gap downs or gap ups, but we'll see what's going on. It's all about being reactive. And one of my favorite things about the strategy that I personally like to continuously trade with is you don't have to have money or you don't have to have something in stock every day. And we did take something, but really a slower moving stock. And I'm going to sell it right away at the bell just because I have to react to the situation right now. But it's not putting all your funds or putting all your eggs in one basket and loading up in a tons of listed stocks, because then when you end up with a situation like this where the overall market is gapped down, that strategy that was working in an uptrending market was just literally working in an uptrending market. So it's important for you to realize where you're at in the overall market of things. So I always start off with looking at the QQQ and SPY in my day. But at the end of the day, I play small caps, penny stocks, and unless we have a drastic drop like this, the overall market doesn't affect too much of what I have going on. And we'll show you this morning if we can get out. Still green here on the stock that we did take overnight because of the position we had. So even though we got gap downs across the board, we'll see if we can escape here, or at least even I'll be happy with. All right, so every single morning, I like to start off my morning with a morning watch list. For those of you guys that are new here, welcome to the team. If you're wondering what team I'm talking about on YouTube, it's thesimplertrading.com. I'm under the Stock Mavericks. Would always love to have you guys on the team. There's a trial we're doing right now for the monthly membership. But what I like to look at to start my day in the notes section is that morning watch list. Every single morning watch list, I like to read my watch stock that I'm watching as well as pattern. So I only play 5 patterns. Those patterns are on my YouTube channel. If you want to, you can always go back and check all 5 of those patterns are on there. But here is the opportunities that we got this morning. And is this gap down might actually really help out what we're looking for. Because there was a stock and a sector that we've been watching since the start of this week. So with me yesterday, you reviewed the weekly watch list. If you weren't with me yesterday, I'm going to drop a YouTube video today describing the YouTube watch list again. Describing the weekly watch list. Metal Bounces was my number 1 watchers on the weekly watch list for a sector. And the one thing I think about big drops and big pops is they need a drastic turnaround things. So in that instance, what I mean by that is if you look at the SPY, anytime it has a huge drop, it usually needs an actual fall off for it to bounce. And the same thing possibly what's happening right now with the market. We got to finally push up. So maybe we get a slight dip. Usually you need something like that to turn it around. And in the metal stocks, I was watching UAMY and CRML for possible bounces. And both of them have been falling for about a month now. Where will the turnaround be? No one really knows, and everyone's trying to figure it out. But the one thing that usually starts to trigger a turnaround is a big panic. And today could be the day that we're starting with a huge gap down back to those levels. Now, I do want to still see UAMY from my morning watch list and weekly watch list hold this 6 spot. But the way that we're falling right now does make me think if we do create some base here, this could be the turnaround day. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's usually when you want to be buying when everyone's feared out. And that's why having cash on the sideline is very great with the strategy that I do, because you always have to be prepared for that next opportunity. But this is an opportunity I've been watching now since here. And we have it on the weekly watch list to bounce off of here. And we're getting closer and closer to that 620 spot. It's coming new lower now. So we'll see. Could this be the final panic that we need in UAMY? Also, the other one that I think was having a huge panic that needs a possible turnaround is CRML. Can we get that possible panic in CRML? So those are the top watchers on the morning watch list to start the day. And honestly, it's not really a day to jump the gun. I just talked about possibly putting your phone back down and walking away from the markets. So I would say don't jump the gun right away, but let's analyze this open. And if things start to go the way we like, we might have to jump the gun on something. If they don't, and we start to head towards midday, which I consider 10:15, 10:30, and things haven't turned around yet, that's when I say, all right, I don't think anything's really going to go on possibly right now. So now we don't jump the gun. We walk away. We go do whatever we enjoy for the day. The reasons why we trade, guys, at least me personally, and if you're a full-time trader, is for the freedom and the ability to step away from the market when you need to. And this would definitely be looking like a day as of right now, unless we get big bounces at the bell. All right, so finishing off my morning watch list here. We did the metal stocks. The reason why I put AREC on there is because AREC had news with the government yesterday, and they are a metal stock. I think we're going to turn around because of that news, but nothing turned around. So it got a huge gap up, and now it's coming all the way back down. I honestly wanted this to reverse. At this point, it's getting pretty weak here, so I'm not really looking for the reversal. I only really had it on the watch list because it had that news yesterday. That was really the sole reason why. And then the other one that we're focusing on right now, and the one stock that we did take overnight, is Freddie Mac. Now, I don't like the way that the markets are gapping down, so I am going to just try to where we're at here. But right now, they're actually showing a small, it's gapping down right now compared to yesterday. But at the same time, we did get a good spot on FMCC. We got it down by $10. So our entry level is down here. And that's why you want to have your entry level down here so you can have any type of cushion. And now I have some limits ready to roll. I don't think I'm going to be willing to hang on too much longer here in any of these stocks. And this is how you minimize anything. Usually if you hold and hope during these times of a downtrending market without a plan, things can get really, really ugly. So I always recommend not doing that. The one stock, though, that I am watching definitely very, very closely, and I talked about shorting it yesterday, so going back to the morning watch list, is this QNCCF. And I said $2 was the first spot. We're already at $2, so I think we're definitely closer to 150. But look at this. It's so annoying. I was shorting stock for 2 days right here, and now it's going to open right here. The patience would have really, really paid there. And I'm getting bit in the butt for it. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But this would have really, really grown the account there. And that's the beauty about trading, is you just got to catch 1, 2, and you start to really excel your account. And this is really an account grower. You catch that short here at 340 like we were at. We're down to $2 in 2 days. I just battled it for 2 straight days, so I got out. And it definitely is annoying, looking back at it. But it is what it is. It's part of the game. Now, instead of beating myself up, I'm going to look for this bounce. So that's what we're going to look for to start the day. But let's see what we get. The morning's about to start. Let's see what we have here at the bell. If anything can hold somewhat, or if FMCC can get any type of sells here as we start our day. But let's get it, guys. Good luck out there. Remember to stay patient for your favorite setups. And let's go get the gap downs across the board is never a good thing. So usually I'm trying to clear out of the madness. It looks like it cleared me out of FMCC slightly. The good thing was Grillet actually took me for profit, which was nice. Very small position there. And then that FMCC I'm about to take for profit, but only about 1%. Better than what I thought before, though. I'll take it. It is what it is. We had a little 4% cushion, but like I said, it is what it is. All right. So the one good thing I would say is that very small Grillet actually gapped up and we sold right away. Tesla, big gap down. It was the only other watcher that we were possibly watching overnight, as well as NUAI. And NUAI didn't do anything as well. So all across the board, that's how I personally like to avoid any type of problems here. It's down 3%, but we were with a mini cushion here. If you look in FMCC, our entry levels were all the way down here at 10. So the fact that we are still making money in a big gap down, that's the beauty of what we got going on here. All right. So now let's start to dive into what we were looking at. Tesla was a high watcher yesterday because it was boiling up by the breakout. We're getting a big drop day with the overall market, but if we continue to hold in Tesla, this continues to boil up. It's even better, and we'll take it. So liking the move there. FMCC we did clear out. It took us at 10.15 altogether. All right, so staying safe this morning. I'm all made a little bit of money, which is kind of crazy in this ugly of a market. The QNCCF short would have really made us the money there. But other than that, we're going to try to see if this market panic here is an actual panic. Let me pull the QQQ up, or if we're going to get any type of bounce. So I'll be keeping my eyes out. I'm not really here to buy stuff right away this morning. I'm definitely not. So Don't think I'm definitely one of those people. I'm just here to analyze right now. Today's a day. This morning's a morning of analyzation. It's kind of taking a step back from what we were doing earlier today. And saying, what do we got? There's Tesla new lows, so exactly what I'm talking about. Let's give it some time. We're not getting the exact bounce we were looking for right away. So breathe. Good sells on the Fannie Mae's. Good sells on the Grillet, selling right away. It's actually the only thing that stayed green this morning. And we're getting some flush downs. HCEN. Okay, Hemini, I didn't even open that one up. Let's see what that one's looking like. Yeah, so this one, I forgot about this one. Nice work. So another multi-month breakout, just the proof to show you that the OTCs sometimes really aren't affected too much when it comes to these stocks. So this is my overnight watch list. And if you're new here, I like to make this every single night. And the goal is we try to buy stuff late in the day, sell it the next morning. Well, FFCC, we made 1%. It was up 5% at one point, or like 4 point something percent. But we didn't sell it yesterday. We were looking for the gap up. The gap up didn't happen. It is what it is. So nice work there on FMCC. The goal at the end of the day is you want to sell at the support level. So we were only risking barely anything, and it's hitting that level right now. So if you did hold it, you want to be getting out right now and losing only like 10 cents. But good work making 10 cents when the markets are getting ugly. The other one that we looked at was Tesla. In Tesla, we stayed patient, and good work staying patient there. NUAI was another listed one, which is down 4%, so nothing really going on. And then HCEN and Grillet's even, but HCEN is actually up nicely. So even though we've had this huge gap down in the overall markets, it's nice to see that there are some possibilities. HCEN is interesting to me because this is a Bitcoin stock, and Bitcoin is down a lot. So this is starting to look like possible short action if it squeezes a little more. There was another Bitcoin one that I thought looked like a decent short. That was ZCSH. And I don't know why this one's still holding up too, but this one's been on a run as well. So two of these are grayscale Bitcoin stocks that have been on a nice trend. I don't like to short stuff that's just uptrending like this, but the one thing I do like to short into is if the markets are dipping, which today we're having a really ugly market day. And then the next thing I check is what is the sector doing? And if you put /BTC, the sector's dipping too. And the sector is actually coming down below a support level that it's been holding for 4 months. So this is a key day here. Either are we going to continue panicking down, or is this going to be this quick little reversal candle like it did on this day back on the 17th? But a very ugly day here for the overall Bitcoin market. And if you are not in Bitcoin, I always like to say, if you do like Bitcoin, if you liked it at 122, then you should like it at 104. Dips are discounts, in my opinion, if you like it. So for those of you guys that are always wondering, how did people buy when Bitcoin was down so much? They have a different mindset, and a mindset is huge when it comes to trading. So dips are discounts. Try to kind of embed that in your head if you like the stock. All right, now that we've played our plays and we're all cash, it feels nice to not worry anymore, especially in this ugly, ugly, ugly market. I can decide to walk away, which is definitely a big possibility, and just come back in the afternoon. But I do want to scan and see what's going on. So today is 100% going to be a lighter day than most days. It's going to be a lighter morning. We're probably going to leave earlier than most mornings. I'm just here to, cut the crap with you guys. I'm not here to sugarcoat stuff. I know a lot of people out there, if you look at trading, it's always like, oh, this is this is this. You see all the nice stuff out there, the fancy cars. Could be like that, but there are ugly, boring days. And in those ugly, boring days, you can make a small pebble loss turn into a huge avalanche. So instead of doing that, you can also walk away and avoid all that stress. It's not just that pebble that turns into an avalanche problem. It's the stress of also sitting here all day and stressing it out. Like I probably did with QNCCF for 2 days. And if I wasn't stressing it, it would have just all worked out. So the patience there, I'm a little upset at myself. But at the same time, like I said, we start to look for bounces. So getting back to the morning watch list, on the morning watch list, after the metal stocks comes QNCCF. And then we'll look at CYDY because it's actually up a little bit today. But QNCCF in the spots were $2 and $1.50. And we're bouncing right off 2 right now, but I would love for it to panic too. And then if we can get closer to 150, I think this starts to become a possible buy and turnaround. I know it looks unreal right now, but you never know what can happen in a stock that's falling. Exactly what you never know what can happen in a stock that's spiking, just like this with the hot sector. Now we got a cool sector and a stock that's dropping. And if you're wondering, this is the quantum sector. How I know it's a cold sector, I open up all the quantum stocks that I usually look at when they run, and they're all gapping down. RGTI being one of them, QBTS being the other one, IONQ being the other one. So all across the board, you have gap downs, which cause the QNCCF gap down. And if these keep pushing down, which they look like they do have a lot of room to keep pushing down, then we do have to keep watching this for the possible panic play. All right, and then the next thing I was looking at, so now that our morning plays have settled a bit, we can see that the listed stock in the market is very, very iffy right now. I'm still not really buying the fact that we're going to bounce all day today. Markets are trying to bounce, but I'm still really not going to say that. So I'm still going to sit on my hands, stay a little more patient, and analyze a little more of what else is out there. So let's get into another OTC stock that actually created a decent day yesterday with news, but it didn't really start up at all. We need a day like this, like a 10% day, and that's usually when we look for the big follow-up. Yesterday it had news, so that's the start of it all. Sometimes I look for 2 things that can really help out stocks, and that sector momentum is always number 1, meaning if there's something in the world that's really, really big in the sector, then that's really, really good. Then there's a possibility of all the stocks that are related to that, whatever it is in the world, could spike too. And sometimes when that spike is good enough, we call it sector momentum, and they spike hundreds of percent, just like you were just looking at QNCCF. CYDY, the other thing that could help out other than sector momentum is news. And it got news yesterday. This is a penny stock, so not jumping the gun on anything. It's light volume, not needing to jump the gun on anything, but just wanted to say it's a thing to look at. Let's open up our UAMY and CRML, because those are the ones that, those are the ones that are actually getting bounces right off the bell. So you can see what I said a little bit about a panic. I didn't expect the bounce right here, but let's keep our eyes out. Sometimes that's what you need, that really big sell-off to eventually get the turnaround. And the thing is, the candle eventually does turn green because there was such a big gap down. So we're going to keep our eyes on both these CRML and UAMY. If you look at the long-term weekly watch list, the key levels for these spots that we talked about yesterday, if you watched the video, was $10, and UAMY was $6.20. And they both got pretty close to those levels there. So keep an eye on that. You also have the one that has the news with the government yesterday trying to create a bounce. So that would really help this stock too. So I got some alerts set up if this thing gets going. But we'll keep a close eye on those metal stocks for sure. The metal sector, the big sector runner that started the run at the way beginning of it all, this one actually was the first one to have the government news and spiked from 30 to 50. Is coming back down to 50, but another one that's also trying to reverse its way around. So they're all still red. You can't really buy the turnaround yet, but I think this is the one sector that, if the markets do get ugly, I think there still are opportunity out there. And then if the markets bounce, it helps these even more. Another metals one that had government news, and the government news caused the spike from $2 to $7 is TMQ. So there's a big list of these metal stocks that have just had huge runs, And this is a good example of what I said with sector momentum brings hundreds of percents of gain. But now where can we find the next opportunity? And right now on this point, we'd be looking for the bounces here. And for QNCCF, we'll be looking for the panic, which, hey, look, it bounced right off of 2. So the first spot tends to hold. I'm going to put a limit. It wicked right to 2. It actually barely even touched it. Touched it for the first second. But it's technically holding 208. So I'm going to put limits there to see if it could crack below. But let's watch. Let's see if this was the fallout that we needed in most of this for possible turnarounds. This one I don't believe in yet. I think that one still has room to run down. But these ones, CRML and UAMY, is more where I lean. CRML just went green. So CRML is testing red to green, which is the first spot I like to say as the tester. The next spot I like to say is yesterday's resistance. So look at yesterday's resistance levels, which are 1140. And we're at the first one right now, 1120. So if we can get back above yesterday's resistance levels and then hold those levels, that starts to show me signs of a turnaround. So close. There's always about 4 lines that I usually alert for the next day if I like the stock. So if you want to put this on a note, it's actually a pretty good notes to have. The lines are, I like to look at the pre-market lows. So you can see here, which is pretty interesting. The pre-market lows, even though I put them in, it looks like it tipped here, but it never actually, yeah. So during the bell, it never touched it. But I put the pre-market lows in. I always like to put, or pre-market support, not pre-market lows. But in this instance, there wasn't really any support. I guess 1020 was a support. So pre-market support. Then I put the close as an alert, but that alert already got alerted. And then I put yesterday's resistance that could hopefully turn into support. Those are the levels that can show that we're showing a turnaround. Those 3 things when you're trying to find multiple downward trending days. So yesterday, the day before, if you're wondering why we never jumped the gun, look, it had the pre-market spike. It looked good, but instantly cracked below yesterday's or pre-market support. And then it never, ever held yesterday's support at all. So this one, as you can see, continue weakness. The weakness just continues. And there's been no real turnaround at all. So if you look at the downtrend of this stock, it almost looks like that constantly over and over and over again. So no real momentum shift in a turnaround besides what we're looking at right now until we can get this 1140 move. So those are the key spots. So it's pre-market support, low a day from yesterday, resistance from yesterday, and then I usually put high a day or like where yesterday opened. If we can cross all those levels, that's really a turnaround key. But usually I look for the top couple, and then this one usually comes next with the possible gap up. But great start there in CRML. And we got to watch UAMY now. So with UAMY, if we did it, we already had the limit there. The next limit would be here just to make sure it doesn't come any lower. So if you're wondering why do I put the limit down here, this is to make sure that we're not going to downtrend even lower and the stock's going to get uglier. Now this, I already have a limit here, but I'm going to lower it a little bit to this spot, 720 instead. And then I'll put one all the way up here at the 770 spot. So UAMY and CRML are on my watchers for sure today. Hard for me to really jump the gun with such an ugly overall market start. But good movement in this whole sector. And if you look at AREC, also good movement. So nice start here on the day. All right, let's see what else we got. Anyone have any tickers or questions themselves that they were going after? Wow, let's go. So Stevie, you were doing 8Zen as well. So 2 people were tagging 8Zen this morning, Himini and Stevie. And it's still somehow holding up. So shorts are definitely shaking out there. It is a clear breakout if anybody's wondering what this pattern is. It's the same pattern that we play on a penny stock, a high price stock. As long as it lines up with the fundamentals, that's what we're looking for. And the fundamentals here is a breakout of 167 It actually had another breakout spot. I didn't even realize right here at 215 that it just gapped up above. But both of those levels cleared and held. The first spot of 168, if you bought that in the morning, it really held below that spot all day yesterday. And then once it broke that spot, that would have been a gold breakout spot. Bitcoin wasn't hot. So it's pretty interesting for me that this Grayscale Bitcoin stock seems to be pushing up. Oh, it looks like GSOL just went on the New York Stock Exchange. Wow, it's an ETF now for Solana, GSOL. So I was actually just charting this stock on my Profitly. And for those of you guys that don't follow me on Profitly, I always recommend charting your trades, and I'm almost done finishing up. I have like 2 more weeks left that I had to catch up on because when I traveled to Europe, there was a lot of catching up to do. But we're right about caught up. Got a couple weeks that I'm going to add in there, but the ones that I was just doing was GSOL. It's funny. I was buying this one on the break. We had such a good win streak in Europe. I'll talk about that in a second. And then I ran into that shitty offering, which happens. But where's GSOL? I literally just wrote it down this morning. I guess it's farther back. Whatever, doesn't matter. But what I did want to show you though, as I was charting my stuff, was I desized my account because I didn't want to get as risky when I traveled to Europe. But when I did travel, I actually ran into a lot of nice wins. We were constantly winning, nice win. It was adding up. And then I ran into this big loss that kind of took all the wins away. And it was an offering. So it was something I couldn't really control. But honestly, just to show you, before an offering does happen, and good thing I did size down because that could have been really ugly. But altogether, 455. $600, $750, $900. So yeah, like $1,500 we had right there straight in Europe for like 5 straight wins. Every single day I was waking up to a win. So that's the beauty of trading. Obviously, the offering you can't control, and this was just unlucky, really. To tell you the truth, if we didn't get in this, the win streak probably would have still continued in Europe. But it is what it is. It's part of the game. But I do want to point that out. The fact that we were trading and traveling all through this time and making money, It was funny. This one, where is it? There was one of them, this one, where I had to find Wi-Fi, and it was so hard for me to find Wi-Fi. I had to actually go talk to my tour guide. My tour guide was actually giving us a tour, and I asked them to actually screen share or to share their Wi-Fi, and they did. And it was great. All right, but getting back to metal stocks, it looks like the metal stocks are starting up pretty nicely here. And this is what you want to see to start the day. So CRML, UAMY. Starting up a bit. It was hard to catch in that first minute with the spike. I mean, I could have tried for dips here. But good potential turnaround. You also have the SPY and QQQ that did bounce. That's helping out all the listed stocks. Still down almost 0.8% on the SPY. And the QQQ still down 1%. But they are bouncing from their lows of the day after the ugly gap down to start the morning. I'm going to start scanning my scans, and I'll see if there's any other opportunities out there that I do think is starting to line up. Tesla's trying to bounce, but still down 3% on the day. But another one that started low and going up. So it looks like maybe the morning panic was definitely that scare. I'm still going to stay patient. There's something about this morning that I'm not sold into just yet. But I am going to pull up the stocks that I do like this morning. So I'll put CRML here. I'll put UAMY up as potential bounces. I like to watch AREC. because this is the one that had the news yesterday. And if this could get going, it's most likely going to get the rest going. We'll keep Tesla in the corner, but I'm not going to watch it. TMQ is another metal stock that's trying to turn around. All right, and now I'm going to scan for some other stuff to see what other opportunities there are. Overall, though, nice bounce here in the markets. Let's see if the markets can hold this bounce while I do my scans. Every single Monday, I like to do my weekly watch list. So I've made a watch list now of monthly watch list. I always do a master watch list, and then I usually dive into weekly stuff too. So we've got a nice list of stuff that I'm going to start with. Let's see if I think anything looks hot, I will bring it up. Himini, I see you bring up iHeartRadio. What happened there? iHeartRadio and the Olympic Games, they got news not too long ago. After hours, they spiked like crazy, but why? I don't see the news on it. So I'm looking at IHRT. If we pop it up, this is iHeartRadio. They got a spike after hours yesterday. I don't see earnings because earnings says that it's coming out on the 10th. So I don't see earnings, but for some reason it woke up and went absolutely nuts, spiking from 340 to 549. Very volatile, and then coming all the way back to 3 this morning. So keeping my eyes on iHeart. Good find here, and we'll see if there's anything else that comes out of this. An OTC stock that we made a lot of money off of, not a lot, but we've played it twice, and it gapped up twice for us. It doesn't have any volume at all, but it is in that metal sector, and if metals can start heating up, this is what we look for. That was one of the gap ups right there, and this was the other one. So this has good opportunities of gap ups when the sector usually turns. Just today, as of right now, I'd say the volume isn't there, so don't really pay attention. The other one from the overnight watch list is still squeezing, which I'm going to have to eventually put HZEN on a short list soon if it keeps going, but we'll see what goes on there. Earlier this morning, I talked about Hertz. Hertz actually said they are finally profitable after coming out with earnings. So this was a great comeback story. Hertz is one of the few stocks that survived COVID, that went bankrupt, and then they survived. They were on the OTC markets. They were a penny stock, and they have completely turned around. They did a reverse split, so I don't think they went completely from penny stock to this. But still, they are a turnaround story. They are profitable, and they are up 30% on a first green day. So what I like to do is I start loading things up for later for possibilities, and that's what I do right now. So let me see what I got. I'll load up Hertz right here and iHeartRadio right here. I got to keep watching the QQQ and SPY, but I have that pulled up on another screen because I have multiple screens in front of me. And let's keep going down the list, and I'll see if I can find any other opportunities today. So even though we have an ugly, ugly start to the day, it looks like we're still going to end up with some possible opportunities. And we were green yesterday to today. So even though the markets were so ugly, we're still green. And that's what I'm talking about. LWLG, let's do it again today is more what I'm saying. LWLG, first possible green day, another one. That's a former spiker. Does it have news? Provides update on commercial pipeline. It looks like they got some pipeline news that the customers like. So we'll have to put this one up. LWLG. So we're getting a decent little list here as we go down. Let's keep looking at more. Let's keep trying to scan the field and find more. I'm just going through my scanners. Ooh, AUPH with earnings and a breakout. Nice little breakout after earnings. The breakout's all the way down here, though, at 1360. a pretty big day there. We'll keep our eyes on it for a possibility. Ugly morning after the spike, but hey, it's up and it's broken out. The one short that I did say should be a short, I think other people are starting to do it. It's another grayscale stock. So something's going on with these grayscale stocks right now. HZEN and ZCSH. Two of those are grayscale stocks that are trending in the right direction. I don't know what exactly is going on with them, but this is technically a breakout. You see the multiple days runs almost a year ago back then. And then ZCSH is another one that we've been watching, and it just keeps squeezing. Here's another squeezing. This one's getting good volume. It's at $3 million in volume almost already in the morning. So not going to say to play it right now, but this is a pure short squeeze, and I have to put it on the morning watch list starting tomorrow for that shorter. You saw the opportunities in a short squeeze that eventually crashes in QNCCF. So QNCCF is a good example of what I look for when I'm looking for a first red day opportunity. It's just a stock that's a bit overextended. It's spiking way too much. I don't know why it does, but a lot of the times it happens because of human emotions and people that are shorting that get caught and they short too early and then they have to get covered and covered and covered. And unfortunately, I had to kind of do that on this day because I didn't know which way we were going. But look at the extension, 368 back to 2 in 3 days. Another big example was ABAT that we were looking at a couple weeks ago. And now this one starts to look like a possible bounce. But ABAT from 1140 back to 4. And I can see this easily coming back to 2 soon. If I had long-term money to short, I'd be definitely would have slammed a lot of this overextended. There's a lot of overextension that just happened. But then that attitude that I just told you, oh, if I had a lot of money, I would just short this overextension. That's what leads to this squeeze. Because I'm sure if you have a lot of money and you're trying to catch 7 here, you got squeezed to 10. Now you're actually in a huge hole. So have to always be sharp when it comes to shorting. I don't really like getting loose, treating it almost like a long-term account or anything like that. Like, oh, let's just keep adding. Let's just keep adding. Because that's when people really get screwed. Markets are still trending up after the small little morning dip that they've got. So fear this morning took over and people started to buy. Let me keep going down the list and see if I see anything else. I'm going to hang out here for about 10 more minutes here and scan to see if I see anything else. I'll make sure to leave off with a list of stuff for possibilities for later. We started off the week Monday making money from the overnight watch list, and then we started off today. And this was like, I'd say break even, but 1% is 1%. But either way, it was an ugly day. And if we're not red, I would say that's green today. One stock that we have on the weekly watches, Beyond. And 150 was the spot we wanted to see it hold. It fell below that yesterday. But if we can get back above 150 and then maybe hold that spot now, maybe we get a first green day that's kind of boiling up and Beyond. I'll put some alerts there. This is a stock that we made money off of last week or 2 weeks ago when it got that huge run. Meme stock. Started the meme stock mania. It ran from 50 to 769. Caused profit in GoPro too. Which GoPro's coming down pretty hard right now. And Donut's probably doing the same thing. But those were all opportunities as well. I think Beyond I'm going to have to put on my list. It's testing 150 right now. So we'll see if it can hold that spot. It's a key spot there. And maybe later we'll have a Beyond opportunity. Beyond's great because that doesn't even care what the market does. The market could gap down and Beyond can do whatever it wants to do. It's going to have a mind of its own because it has buyers of its own. It's part of that meme stock mania, which usually are buyers of its own. It's not really goes along with the QQQ and SPY. which actually this started to spike when a lot of the QQQ and SPY was cooling off a couple weeks ago. All right, let me move into a couple more watch lists here. I'm going to bring, let's see. I was going to say I'm going to change the screens, but no, I'll keep you on the big screen. All right, so that ZCSH has hit 41. Let's see if that's the stop spot. But it just interests me, the fact that, you know, this is getting such a big run with Bitcoin coming down so much. So something to definitely be keeping our eyes on. This is a drone stock, very, very light volume. So nothing yet. No, there's nothing there. But I have profited off of this stock on the breakouts. We need a lot more out of that one. But good to see. I'll put it up on a different chart. I'm not going to put that on my main watcher. All right, so I'm going to open up 2 more watch lists here to see if there's anything else really for possibilities. But a lot of these plays, when you start here with me, especially if you're on the YouTube, you're probably saying, oh, where's the buys? Well, the buys usually come in the afternoon. So if you're really interested, would love to have you on the team. Come check us out in the Simpler Trading room under Stock Mavericks. But going down my metals list now just to see if there's anything else that could be possibly lining up. And it doesn't look like it yet, but this could be the beginning of the turnaround, or we're still downtrending. So let's keep our eyes on CRML and UAMY for possible holds. UAMY actually went green barely, but it came back down red. But let's see if they get the holds or they come back down. You know, at the end of the day, you don't want to try to completely catch a falling knife. So I'm not really trying to do that. I still need to have everything prove itself. And it hasn't done that yet. Until it does it, you're catching a falling knife, which is obviously a very dangerous thing to do. Hertz is still holding up there. So Hertz could be a possible opportunity later. So let's go down the stuff for later. Well, let me actually do my last watch list. Hold on. All righty. So one more watch list let me do right here. Let's see if there's anything else. If not, I'm going to leave you off with the stocks that I'm looking at possibly here to close out later on when I come back at 245. Yesterday, we had some opportunity, nothing really big. The one thing that would have been the jackpot was that short, that QNCCF short, which I talked about yesterday in the morning, but in the afternoon, I didn't really talk about it. Talked about it a little bit in the afternoon, but not too much. Wow, another grayscale stock that's kind of ticking up, GBAT. So I don't know what's going on, but I think I might have to start focusing on all these grayscale ones together. I don't know if there's any more out there, but I'll keep scanning. But this is a weird one that just started up again too. This is going to be something new that's popping up. The volume stinks in this one, but it's interesting to see that it's the same type of sector, and there's 3 different stocks that are all doing the same random little spike when Bitcoin's dropping. And that's the beauty of the market. You never know when the next hot thing is going to be. You never know when the next, hot sector is going to be. You never know when your next best day is going to be. I like to relate it to golf. It's a very similar game to golf because you can never perfect it, and you really never know when your best day is going to be. So you always want to just show up every day. And today was literally one of those days that you just had to show up. We cleared out of our positions, but good work showing up. If you don't show up every day, it's going to be very hard for you to catch that next play. So that's something that I do want you to realize. Usually you can't just show up one day and just catch the play. Even though, these days are boring, some days that you just show up and not much happens, it's part of the process. It is a big, 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 big part of the process. All right, so let me go down the list and let's look at stuff. I'm going to keep UAMY and CRMM up for the metal stocks, but I'm going to take some of these other ones away. So I'll have iHeart pulled up because that's a big runner. Or I'll put Hertz up here. I'll put iHeart. We have LWLG. We have Beyond to watch. AREC, I'll put Eric here. And then the QQQ, I'll keep up as well. Actually, no, I'm not going to put Eric here. I'll put ZCSH. Because this one is a bit overextended. There's really nothing I love right now to jump the gun. But patience is a very, very big skill in this game. So staying away, not making a big mistake is really what I'm more about. And I always have a picture of an avalanche on the community's main wall because these are the days that you really can let one small pebble turn into an avalanche. So let's not do that today. Let's stay safe this morning. Let's play defense. Let's put our defensive guard shield up. Even though the QQQ and SPY have bounced a little bit, it's not completely bounced, but let's always be ready to attack. So that's why I always love this 300 picture because they have defense, but they're always ready to attack their next person. But defense is huge or else you're going to die. So that's what we're going to do right now. It's the boring part of trading, but it is the part of trading that is a skill. I got a couple things pulled up. There's more that I'm looking at. So all these CRML, UAMY for metals, and then TLOFF is a really light volume one, but it's one that if it could start up, I like it. And if the metals can hold, I like it. But if the metals don't hold, I don't like it. And then other than that, we have Hertz, iHeartRadio, so some big companies. Usually the companies I trade are not as known, but we have Hertz, iHeartRadio, and Beyond Meat on the screen today, which is a little rare, but I love it. And then also LWLG for a possible first green day. Just what I say by a possible first green day, we just need to find some support throughout the day. So let this thing play. It's only 10:15, 10:11 in the morning. We still have a lot of time for these stocks to play. There's a whole 6 hours, 7 hours ahead of us in the market before we really start to take action. Unless we really fall in love with something midday, then I'll go after it. But right now, this doesn't look like a day I'm going to be in love with anything. And then the last two stocks I have pulled up are ZCSH because I think that's just overextended. But I just want to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to short it today. Just keeping an eye on it. I see other grayscale stocks moving up. So as long as those grayscale stocks keep moving up, I'm just going to keep an eye on it. In the day that maybe they all start to pull, maybe that's the day I'll short. But Bitcoin is for sure not the hot sector right now. So it's weird to see these push up. It reminds me of QNCCF. QNCCF was randomly pushing up really high, and all of them were coming down. And that was the only reason why I was trying to short it. I was like, why is this quantum one going all the way up? And if you went across the quantum board, they were all coming down during that time that one was breaking out. Every single one of them was making that downward trending move. Just like that. Multiple red days. And then randomly this one wasn't. So it kind of reminds me of the same thing. Let's see. What is Riot MR doing? Yeah, exactly. Multiple red days. So it reminds me of the same thing. You have multiple red days, really ugliness going on in listed Bitcoin stocks. If I open up other listed ones like CAN and BitF, they're all just downtrending. And then I open up this random OTC and it's been running from $250 to $42 recently. That looks like it's lining up for the potential short. So that'll be on a high watch. definitely tomorrow and today. But that's pretty much where we're going to leave it off. There's not really much else here this morning. Unfortunately, on this Tag a Bag Tuesday and YouTube Live, we didn't really get to go after anything. But nice work taking advantage of an ugly morning. So staying green in an ugly morning. If I was slightly red, I'd still be happy this morning. As long as things didn't get really ugly, you're good. But if you were green this morning, you did something special. So let's keep taking it one day and one trade, everybody. And YouTube fam would love you in the stock or Simply Trading website